The mics are on. This meeting is called to order. Folks, we're ready if you are. Thank you. This is a regularly scheduled meeting for which the date, time, and location is set forth in the annual notice of meetings adopted by the Waldwick Planning Board at the reorganization meeting of January 2025. You still don't hear me? Heavens to Betsy. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, said annual notice has been filed with the Borough Clerk, a copy posted in the vestibule of the Waldwick Administration Building, and copies transmitted within 7 days after adoption to the official newspapers of the borough as designated by the governing body, to wit, the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Badalamenti?
Here.
Mayor Giordano?
Here.
Mr. Vervoort?
Here.
Mr. Raimondo?
Here.
Mr. Fink?
Here.
Mr. Kowalski?
Here.
Mr. Misselwick?
Here.
Mr. Orovitz?
Here.
Mr. Basilico? Mr. Panfile?
Here.
Mr. Schatz?
Here.
Everyone please rise for a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I can't say I've seen this room from this side that full, so that's kind of cool. Thanks for coming out. If anyone in the audience has business that's not on the agenda, they are welcome to come forward. Seeing none. Approval of minutes for March 5, 2025. All members have printed copies. Motion to accept as printed. Motion by Mark and John, second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next, resolutions. We have none this evening. Applications. First one up, Schulhofer. Hafer or Schulhofer? Sub-25-1. Mr. Whitaker, you're up.
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, Bruce Whitaker from the firm of McDonald Whitaker, representing the applicants Glenn and Mary Schulhofer. This is an application for a minor subdivision. It is an application in which no new lots are being created. In essence, we have a situation where there's a single-family home on each property. Lot 47 is deficient in lot area, being only 6,250 square feet, whereas you know in that zone the requirement is 7,500 square feet. The lot next door, lot 45, has a lot area of 12,500 square feet. What the property owners are requesting through a minor subdivision is to take 20 feet width of the strip of land, adding it to the deficient lot, and on the basis of that, from a planning perspective, the positive is we now have two conforming lots. The one lot is still a bit deficient in lot width, but it's better than it is today. As I said, there's no new lots being created, and we would, with the board's acceptance and approval of the subdivision, it would be modified, perfected by virtue of filing deeds. The deed descriptions have already been sent over to Boswell Engineering for their review. With that, I have Mr. Kester here this evening, who is the surveyor engineer that has prepared the plan, and I would just have him briefly testify as to what is being proposed.
Very good. Thank you.
Steve? Okay, be sworn in.
Sir.
I'm going to move this so everybody can see it.
Thank you.
Mr. Kester, raise your right hand, please.
Yes.
Sir, testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last, and give us the benefit of your education and experience. Please.
Certainly. Stephen L. Kestner, Stevenkoestner, 61 Hudson Street, Hackensack, New Jersey. A graduate of Clarkson College of Technology in 1974 in environmental and civil engineering. Licensed as a land surveyor since 1983. and as an engineer since 1988. I have testified before many boards in and around Bergen County. I don't know if I had the pleasure of being here, but I appreciate it if we could continue.
But ask that Mr. Kester be qualified in the field of surveying and engineering for purposes of this meeting and be able to render an expert opinion in that field.
All right. Members of the board, Mr. Kester appears before you as an expert in the fields of engineering and land surveying. To the extent that his testimony is that of an expert, it is permissible for him to give you opinions. That is different from the normal testimony you get from a lay witness lay witnesses can only testify as to facts. That being said, to the extent that you find any opinions rendered by Mr. Kester to be helpful, to square with what you see in the application, you're absolutely entitled to rely upon them. But similarly, if you find that the opinions rendered run counter to what you see, you are absolutely entitled to not rely upon them and to rely upon what you have seen from all of the other material. Mr. Whitaker?
Thank you. Mr. Kester, you
Thank you.
prepared the plan that's on the board this evening,
I have.
and that's a plan that has an original date of January 22nd, 2025, revised through January 28th, 2025. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you were charged and retained by the applicant for purposes of doing this minor subdivision.
That is correct.
Would you just go to the board with that exhibit?
Will I need
Part
the
of
microphone?
application?
I don't know if
I think just leaving it there,
Let me try that.
and just explain what the existing condition is and what's being proposed.
So Mr. Whitaker will note that as applicant's one.
A1.
Thank you.
Okay. The property is located on the south side of Grove Street, 768.15 feet easterly of the Franklin Turnpike. It's known commonly as number 32 and 36 of Grove Street. Presently, number 36 is 100 feet by 125 feet in depth. Number 32 is 50 feet by 125 feet in depth. The proposal is to move the lot line over 20 feet, and that is indicated at the lower portion of my screen, the lower left-hand portion of my plan, rather. And that shows the new lot to be 70 feet in width. That is for lot 32. Lot 36 is reduced to 80 feet in width. The lot area on lot 47 will become 8,750 square feet, which is larger than the required 7,500 square feet. And the new area on lot 45, number 36, will become 10,000 square feet. Presently, the house is located approximately 5 feet, it's shown in the zoning schedule, off of the easterly line, and that'll be increased by 20 feet, and that'll become 25.84 feet, and that will remove that existing nonconformity. There are other nonconformities in terms of front yard setback that won't be affected by the subdivision, but evidently we are going to enhance the size of house number 32, lot number 47 by 20 feet.
So by virtue of this subdivision proposal, am I correct in saying that the lot area that's now non-conforming will be eliminated and both lots will be conforming or more than conforming?
That is correct.
And in connection with the lot width that's now 50 feet, adding 20 brings it to 70 feet where 75 feet is required. So it's better than what exists there right now.
It's much better than it is presently at 50 feet, however, it still requires a variance.
Thank you. That concludes our presentation.
Mr. Kester, is there a reason that we couldn't, you had 100 feet on the oversized lot in width. Is there any reason we couldn't get that last 5 feet?
Yes, we didn't have the consent of the property owners.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. I was just wondering.
Interesting. Members of the planning board, any questions? Comments? Any comments or questions from the public? Seeing none. Mr. Whitaker, anything else?
This concludes our presentation. I would respectfully request that the subdivision be passed.
Very good, thank you so much. We can motion, comments and questions. That's okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Any comments from the board? Seeing none. From the public, any comments? Seeing none. We could ask the attorney to draw a resolution. A motion, yeah, from Joe. Motion second by Stan. Thank you. Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Badalamenti.
Yes.
Mayor Giordano.
Yes.
Mr. Verboort.
Yes.
Mr. Ramundo.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Kowalski.
Yes.
Mr. Misselwick.
Yes.
Mr. Orovitz.
Yes.
Mr. Basilico. Absent. Mr. Penfile.
Yes.
Mr. Schatz.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. We'll wait for the folks to set up for our next application, Harrison Avenue Redevelopment, LLC, 25-1. Also, if we haven't heard already, the mics are on. If we could all speak into the mic as best we can, or project if we do not have a microphone in front of us. Also, we will have a hard stop at 10 p.m. if in fact we go that late. I
Madam
think-
Chair?
Yes?
I'd like to let you know that I'll be recusing myself. The planning board's attorney, the town's attorney, and the applicant's attorney are aware of my decision.
Very good, thank you. And Matt Fink, would you come up and take the mayor's place, please?
I got one for myself. I was going to hand these out to everybody up there. I need two.
That's what I'm not planning on. I'm going to address the protocol.
Very good.
Follow along.
So Joyce, what's the
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you. Very good. I knew I should have brought my ready. I'd be parched. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, presumably you're all here for this application, the Harrison Avenue redevelopment application. Since I see a lot of faces that I don't see every week, or every month rather, let me explain to you exactly how it goes so that there's no question about it. The order of operations here is very straightforward. The applicant will present the testimony of the witnesses. Some of them will be lay witnesses, some of them will be expert witnesses. They will be sworn, they will testify. They will answer questions from the board, from the board's professionals, and then the floor will be open for questions from the public. No comments, questions for that witness only. At that point, if you wish to ask a question, because questions inevitably contain factual predicates, you will be asked to swear an oath to tell the truth. That is a prerequisite to asking a question. Similarly, giving your name and your address is a prerequisite to asking a question. At the end of your question, no comments. The time for comments is when the application is completely in and the chair asks for comments from the public on the application. So, probability, not going to be comments tonight, because my understanding is that there are enough witnesses that we are going to run past tonight into the next month's meeting. So I just don't want anybody to feel sandbagged by what happens here today or how it happens. Madam Chair?
Very good. Mr. Whitaker?
Here with the members of the board, for the record, Bruce Whitaker from the firm of McDonald Whitaker, representing the applicant, Harrison Avenue Redevelopment, LLC. This is an application in connection with the development of Block 107, lots 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, otherwise known as 37, 39, 41, 43, 45, 47, 49, Harrison Avenue in Waldwick. The property has, as you know, been designated as a redevelopment area, and the applicant is submitting a major site plan application and a soil movement application, together with a related request for certain waivers from your site design requirements. And it's being done in accordance with your recently enacted ordinance, which has been approved by the mayor and council. That's ordinance number 2024-33. A copy of the ordinance is attached to the application that was submitted and is part of our presentation. We have provided notice to all property owners within 200 feet of all of the properties. We've submitted our affidavit of service and proof of publication from the record, and just want to put on the record, Mr. Singer, everything is in order.
Everything is in order.
Thank you very much. An overview of the application indicates that the property has an area of 1.278 acres. It has frontage on Harrison Avenue, West Prospect Street, and Frederick Street. The property is located, as you know, in the central portion of Waldwick, and it's a block east of your train station, your railroad train station, and is part of what's looked upon as a type of transient housing that has become very popular in many of the municipalities. The applicant's proposing to construct a building at the southern end of the property. It's going to front on West Prospect Street, and it will wrap around the corner onto Harrison Avenue. 3,539 square feet of the building will be commercial space that's proposed on the first floor. No tenants are proposed at this point. And the balance of the building will have 21 dwelling units on the second through the fourth floors. There will be 6 dwelling units on the second floor, together with an amenity room and a fitness center. The third floor will have 8 dwelling units, and the fourth floor will have 7 dwelling units. 6 of the dwelling units in the building are set aside for affordable housing for your low and moderate income households, in conformity with not only the redevelopment plan, but in conformity with the New Jersey law. Also proposed on the site will be 21 townhouse uses. 13 of these will front on Harrison, 3 are proposed on Frederick Street fronting, and 5 will be on the easterly property line. These townhouses will have driveways and will have access to 1-car garage. The townhouses will be 3 stories in height. All of the aspects of the townhouses, as well as the other units, will be explained to you by our architect. The uniform housing requirements are set forth in NJAC 5:80-26.1 that pertains to the number of bedrooms that are required for affordable housing units. And the applicant's proposal complies with all of the requirements for your affordable housing as far as designation of the number of bedrooms required. This has been confirmed by your planner, Mr. Greigel, in his planner's report of March 18th. And the 15% requirement for rental units for set aside for low and moderate income housings are being accommodated. The Waldwick redevelopment ordinance permits 33 units per acre. The applicant is proposing 32.4 units per acre, so therefore we are code compliant. The redevelopment ordinance requires 78.5 parking spaces. The applicant is proposing 87 parking spaces, which again is more than code compliant. This also has been confirmed by Mr. Greigel in his March 18th report. There's a building on lot 11, which is located in the southeast corner of the property. This is proposed to remain, you know it as the Hair Cottage. The first floor of the building will remain commercial space. There's an apartment on the second floor that would be removed and instead will be used for a superintendent or manager's office. So there's somebody that will be looking over the development and the complex, will have an ability to get in out of the rain, so to speak, not living quarters, but just to have a spot for management and to keep certain necessary supplies for the development itself. The applicant's going to comply with your electrical vehicle supply service equipment ordinance. It's the state mandated ordinance. Again, we are going to comply with that and have the number that's required under the law established on site. Your ordinance also requires indoor bicycle parking spaces, and those are being proposed and shown on the plans also, and they will be in conformity with your ordinance. We've had the benefit of Mr. Greigel's report of March the 18th and your engineer, Mr. McGinnis's report of March the 26th. We are stipulating that we can meet any of the conditions that have set forth in both of those reports, and we take no exception to either one of them. Both of those reports confirm that we're compliant with off-street parking and with traffic circulation. We are stipulating that the ADA accessible parking spaces will be constructed in accordance with the ADA requirements and standards. The applicant is requesting certain, what I would describe as de minimis design waivers. They will be further explained by our engineer, but just as an overview, we have the parking area along the easterly rear property line located 2 feet, where the ordinance requires 5 feet. It is in a very small section of the parking area, bordering the back of a Rite Aid, side of the Rite Aid, which has certain improvements at Rite Aid that actually infringe over onto this property itself. We are proposing a 1 driveway for the site entry and exit. There's a code requirement of 2. Garage entryway is 85 feet to Harrison Avenue right-of-way, and you have a code requirement that the driveway should be located on more than 100 feet to a right-of-way. Again, you'll hear from our experts that in this instance the design is appropriate and does not create any safety hazards. We have been in contact with the various borough agencies. We've got the benefit of all of the borough's responses from recycling coordinator, the fire department, your zoning, water department, etc. We can meet all of those type of requirements. We have already initiated discussions, I understand, through our engineer and fire department officials as to hydrant location, and we can get that finalized and we'll accept what their recommendations are, and in connection with the water supply, we can also meet all of the requirements there. I think what's important for you to know that the principles of this applicant are also the principles of DMR Construction Services. Now, that's a company that has been established for quite a while and actually is in Warwick. They haven't had the opportunity to build in Warwick yet, but it's a fully owned, full-service construction development and real estate development firm. It was established back in 1992. They have been involved with many different types of projects, both large and small. They have public contracts and been qualified as a public contractor. They've done work as large as work in Hoboken, train station work, and they've developed a lot of different housing from single-family homes to developments like this and developments that are beyond this, both in New Jersey as well as in Florida. They're in the forefront and been recognized for being able to meet all of the current requirements environmentally for green building practices and energy efficient structures. So that's the background of this developer. This is a developer that's not only gone from conceptual to final build out, but also in some instances is actually managed after the build out has occurred. Your ordinance for redevelopment has a goal, or goals I should say, and objectives. And they include providing for land use that will support the Waldwick Central Business Center, to be integrated with the rail station, what is known as transit-oriented housing, to provide new commercial space along West Prospect Street, and that's what that 3,000 plus space is provided for, and most importantly, to address the borough's affordable housing obligations, and that's being accomplished also. So it's submitted that the applicant is implementing the goals that you have in that redevelopment ordinance, and the municipal land use law, as you're aware, provides that when a planning board receives an application that does not require variance relief at this point, a planning board shall, at that point, approve the site plan in accordance with Section 46B of the municipal land use law. Important to note that drainage and stormwater management design that is proposed is fully compliant with NJAC 7:8, and this has been confirmed by Mr. McGinnis in paragraph 16 of his report of March the 26th. You have before you an exhibit list, which will help us walk through the presentation that we have tonight. You'll see on the exhibit list that we received approval already from the Bergen County Soil Conservation District, and we have also received a waiver from the Bergen County Planning Board. With that said, we have a series of witnesses this evening, and we are seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval as well as soil movement approval. We're going to start with our engineer, Tibor Lefentis from Conklin Associates, and we will walk you through the plans step by step and welcome the opportunity for questions by board members and by members of the public. Our second witness will be Robert Zampolin, a very well-known architect who is very well known for various designs all throughout Bergen County and beyond. He's made a presentation once before the mayor and council showing what could be done with this property, and on the basis of that, the town has already determined that redevelopment is what is needed here. So with that said, he will be our second witness. From there, we have landscaping that we will have our landscape architect testify to, and if questions arise, as I expect they will, pertaining to various traffic patterns for this area, we will have the traffic consultant engineer to testify at a later meeting. That's an overview of the application. Unless there's any questions of me, I will turn it over to our engineer.
We're good? Ready, set?
Thank you. Tibor, be sworn in.
Thank you.
Do you swear testimony you should give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Tibor Latincic, spelled Tiborlatincsiccs, principal engineer with the firm of Conklin Associates, 29 Church Street, Ramsey, New Jersey. PE license number 32444, and that license is valid and up to date. I've appeared before the Waldwick Planning Board and Zoning Board previously, and throughout planning and zoning boards in Northwest Bergen County.
Thank you.
I would ask that he be qualified as an expert witness in the field of civil engineering and be able to provide an expert opinion in that field.
So approved. Ladies and members of the board, once again, Mr. Latincic comes before you as a professional engineer. As such, he is a professional and is able to render an expert opinion. Expert opinions are based upon facts which are given to the expert and/or which the expert adduces himself. Either way, again, you can rely upon the testimony and the opinion testimony of this witness to the extent that you find it that it assists you. To the extent that you find it differs or varies from your perception of what you're seeing, you are not bound by it.
Thank you. Tibor, you have been engaged and retained by the applicant for purposes of preparing the plans that were submitted with the application. Is that correct?
Correct.
And for the purposes of the record, they've already been identified on our exhibit list, but just give us the date of the plans and the final revision date.
Okay, the primary plan set, which is sheets 1 through 8, is original. It's titled Site Plan, Soil Erosion and Sediment Control Plan, Mixed Use Redevelopment at Harrison Avenue, with an original date of 11/19/24, last revised February 24th, 2025.
And on the basis of the revisions that were done on 2/24/25 submission, am I correct in saying that some of those revisions were prompted by some of the review work that was done by the borough professionals?
Correct.
And in connection with the overall development of this site, you've been part of a team that has been working on this site since the concept of having it redeveloped through the redevelopment submitted.
Yes.
And with that said, what I'd like you to do is take us through, from an engineering perspective, the various aspects that you need to address for site plan approval.
Okay. And I may be repeating some of the information Mr. Whitaker provided, but perhaps in greater detail. Exhibit A11 is a survey of the existing conditions of the property. You can see that there's 5 single-family homes. Significant, you can see from the gray shading on Exhibit A11, which is the existing conditions survey. approximately 67% impervious surface. This is certainly a redevelopment site. Exhibit A3 is the specific site plan. There's a zoning schedule in the lower right portion of the plan. Exhibit A5 is a blow-up of the body of Exhibit A3, just for clarity purposes. And taking it one step further, Exhibit A4 is, if you want to call it, a simplified version of Exhibit A5 and A3 without some of the excessive engineering detail. It's just easier to read. Subject property, as Mr. Whitaker said, is 1.29 acres. Has the advantage of advantageous topography. There's only an 8-foot elevation difference from the north corner to the south corner. You will see that the development is essentially parallel contour, which is advantageous. From a zoning perspective, in a broad brush discussion, the application is fully compliant with the bulk and density requirements of the redevelopment area. If you review the zoning schedule on the lower left of Exhibit A3, minimum lot area of 1 acre is required, 1.296 acres is provided. Required setbacks, 20 feet from a roadway frontage for the townhouses, which is provided. A minimum of 7 feet to side and rear lot lines. That is provided. 10 feet here, 7 feet here, 7 feet to townhouse unit 5 to the side wall of the right aid. The multi-use building is permitted as 0 setback. 5 feet is provided. Freeze is permitted. The multi-use building would be 48.45 feet in 4 stories. Townhouses are 31 feet in 3 stories. Maximum permitted, we're starting with 67% lot coverage. Maximum permitted is 80%. Proposed is 79.68% with a comprehensive stormwater management plan. Maximum permitted density is 33 units per acre. Proposed is 32.4 units per acre. So simply put, the application is fully compliant from a zoning and bulk standards. Access to the site is proposed to the body of the site. Clearly, the townhouses, there's 13 townhouses fronting on Harrison Avenue, 3 on Frederick Street, 5 in the interior. Clearly, the townhouses that front on Frederick and Harrison are accessed with those roadways. Access to the interior parking lot, which contains 34 parking stalls, is via a 25-foot travel aisle underneath the building, through the building, which Mr. Zampel will give additional testimony on. To these 14 feet. Because the key elevation is an elevation at is really set the grading for the site. So there's 14 feet overhead clearance in the drive-through. Mr. Whitaker mentioned the bicycle storage, and in this drive-through also is a covered parking area with 11 parking stalls and bicycle storage areas, as Mr. Whitaker referenced. We are compliant with ADA parking stalls, which are indicated on Exhibit A5, 1, 2, as per state code. They are indicated on Exhibit A5 with a vehicular symbol. 24-foot wide travel aisle is provided through the parking area with 9 by 18 parking stalls on either side. So that is an overview of the zoning, existing conditions, the proposed development. Moving on to some more detailed information in terms of water use and sewage being generated. Existing homes use about 1,800 gallons a day. Clearly, there are 33 new units being proposed. Would require 11,000 gallons per day, or an increase of 9,500 gallons per day. Sanitary sewer. An 8-inch sanitary sewer line is proposed to be extended through the center of the site, servicing the townhouses. Townhouses will be connecting to that interior sanitary sewer, except for 2 units that will not be connecting to the Harrison Avenue sewer line. Similarly with the water line, a new water line, there's a 10-inch ductile iron water main in West Prospect Street. It is proposed to extend an 8-inch ductile iron water line through the center of the site in the parking area, terminating in a Mueller Centurion 250 fire hydrant. They'll be discuss that further. That water line is subsequently looped with a 4-inch ductile iron water line to connect to the water main in Frederick Street. The multi-use building, retail, and 21 apartments. There will be a 3-inch potable water service line off the new 8-inch ductile iron line, which connects to the 10-inch line in West Prospect Street, and a second 4-inch fire suppression line for the multi-use building. Mr. Zampolin will give additional testimony on this, but the mixed-use building and the townhouses will have NSF 13 fire protection. In terms of fire hydrants, there are 2 existing fire hydrants, one directly across the street at the corner of West Prospect Street and Harrison Avenue on the south side of West Prospect. There is a fire hydrant at the corner of Frederick Street and Harrison Avenue. 2 additional fire hydrants are proposed. One currently at the end of the parking lot, and the fire official has requested an additional fire hydrant to the rear of units Townhouse 6 on Harrison Avenue. We will discuss that with the fire official. It may be prudent to just shift that slightly to line up with the alleyway between the multi-use and the last townhouse unit. That would put that fire hydrant closer to the electric vehicle charging stations. The plan does call out a fire department connection at the west corner of the multi-use building. Similar to the water use, there will be an increase of approximately 9,000 gallons per day in sanitary sewage. I've had a discussion with Northwest Bergen County Utilities Authority. They certainly have the capacity for an additional 9,000 gallons a day with no problem whatsoever. The townhouses will be serviced by 1-inch K copper lines to the new interior water line in the parking area. Again, just to circle back again, 2 existing fire hydrants, 2 new fire hydrants. Mueller Centurion 250 is the model number. We'll make sure, I believe it's the left turn fire hydrant in Warwick. Stormwater management. These blue boxes, stormwater chain, as well as infiltration into the subsurface, subgrade. we prepared a detailed drainage plan and stormwater management, which is in compliance with the stormwater rule in chapter 97-88.4 of the Waldwick Code, and provides for reductions in the peak rate of runoff from the site. Pretty much a mandate today for what is deemed to be a major project is the pavement will be pervious pavement, as mandated by drains. In the interior parking lot will trap and discharge all the parking lot runoff to the subsurface detention chambers. All the roof leaders are connected directly to the subsurface detention system. There are no inlets currently on Harrison Avenue. 3 new inlets are proposed. An avenue effectively reconstructed, repaved. The plan currently shows to the center line of Harrison Avenue. Boswell Engineering has pointed out that it is a borough requirement, particularly as Harrison Avenue was repaved in the last 5 years. The applicant repave Harrison Avenue, and we stipulate to that. When that repaving is done, Harrison Avenue will have a proper crown. It does not have a proper crown today. If you're familiar with Harrison Avenue, runoff sheets off from the site. The southern portion drains across the street into that commercial use on the corner. They got some raised curb there to deal with it. 3 new inlets are proposed in addition to properly crowning Harrison Avenue, curb on Harrison Avenue with a proper storm sewer system which connects to both the West Prospect Street and the Frederick Street storm sewer systems. And the drainage is designed so areas that normally drain to the north will continue to drain to the north. Areas that drain to the south will continue to drain to the West Prospect Street storm sewer system. Just give me a moment.
Let me just stop you for a moment. As far as the drainage systems are concerned, you've had the benefit of reviewing the Boswell report of March the 26th, correct?
Yes.
And any of the suggestions that's made there, under the stormwater management ordinances of the Borough of Waldwick,
Yes.
to meet all of the state mandated requirements.
Yes.
In fact, your stormwater management proposal that was submitted to Boswell Engineering has actually been approved by them.
Yes.
Sum and substance for all of us here, on the basis of the drainage systems that are being proposed, will there be any adverse impact from a drainage perspective to any of the surrounding properties?
No adverse impact, and in fact, an improvement.
Thank you. Please proceed.
In terms of soil movement, we have submitted a soil movement. Exhibit A6 is the detailed cross sections and quantities. There's a tabulation on the right-hand side, but in the Cliff Notes version is the mass soil movement is a cut of 2,560 cubic yards with a fill of 1,369 cubic yards, with an export of 1,190 cubic yards of soil. In anticipation of the next question, that is approximately 66 truckloads at 18 cubic yards per tandem. It is anticipated, as a practical matter, there would be 5 trucks leaving per day over a period of several weeks. If it was continuous, it would be 5 truckloads over 13 days. I would comment that the impact is probably less than Amazon deliveries. The demolition plan has been provided.
Just step back for a moment for the record. The soil movement application and the submission you made, you're familiar with the soil movement ordinance in the Borough of Waldwick?
Yes.
Am I correct in saying that what you are proposing here will comply with all the requirements?
Yes.
And we are stipulating that as far as the truck route is concerned, it's obviously subject to police department review and recommendation.
Bergen County Soil Conservation District certification for the erosion control plan, which is Exhibit 24. A23 is the Bergen County waiver, Bergen County Planning Board waiver. Exhibit A10 is a lighting plan which provides spot isolumin intensities. In short, comprehensive lighting plan which provides for pedestrian safety. In the Boswell report, we certainly stipulate that if there's any modification, find it too bright, it can certainly be revisited in the future. And also in the Boswell report, and certainly there will be lighting, ceiling lighting in the overhead ceiling lighting in the drive-through of the parking area in those 11 parking stalls. There's bay windows, garages. So that garage lighting would be recessed soffit lighting downcast over those driveway areas. And in that regard, just to circle back, in terms of parking, which is indicated on the zoning schedule, each of the townhouses will have a garage and a 20-foot plus deep driveway for off-street parking. So that provides for 2 parking stalls for each townhouse. For the multifamily residential, there are requirement is 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. What is proposed, of course, is 42 parking stalls in compliance, which then leaves 13 parking stalls for the commercial space, the hair cottage, and an office within the hair cottage for a total of 87 parking stalls. That information is tabulated in the lower right of Exhibit A3. The project and plan is compliant with the parking requirements of the redevelopment ordinance. Exhibit A10.
Just to step back from that, we're on actually more than compliant, isn't that correct?
Let me just check my number. We're at 87 and 87.
Okay.
Exhibit A7 is a demolition and a tree removal plan. 22 trees are proposed to be removed. We understand that is subject to a tree removal permit from the Construction Code Department. We anticipate, if the project receives approval, demolition and mass site grading would be the first piece of construction. And subsequent plan sheets provide for various construction and engineering development.
Mr. Moore, we are making a request for 3 design waivers from certain design standards that are set forth in the ordinances. And you're fully cognizant of the ordinances and the request being made?
Yes.
I'd like you to walk us through those 3.
Okay, specifically a waiver request from section 97-123-7C2, which requires parking areas to be 5 feet from the property line. And on this side, we have this somewhat a unique circumstance in that this property line to the rear of the Rite Aid is not 90 degrees to Frederick Street. You can see it's at a skew. Personal opinion is that perhaps the Rite Aid was staked out wrong and there was an adjustment because it's rather peculiar. And with that, we have converging lines here. We have a retaining wall here for the parking area, and you can see the retaining wall in the parking area and the skewed property line converge. So Actually, 11 of these parking stalls are closer than 5 feet. 90 degrees to Frederick Street, which is the norm, that situation would not exist. Unfortunately, it does. I would point out that it is in the interior of the site, to the back of the Rite Aid former supermarket, and that was where their loading docks were. So the visual impact of it is negligible, but a waiver nevertheless. Section 97C4A recommends that for lots greater with a frontage of 100 to 800 feet, one should have 2 driveways. The property has 182.25 feet of frontage onto West Prospect Street. One driveway, one 25-foot wide driveway is proposed. That driveway is 25 feet wide and flares out to a 31-foot wide curb cut. So in the big picture, the Waldwick ordinance recommends 2 driveways. One driveway is proposed.
Will there be safe access and ingress to the site based on what's being proposed?
Yes,
Driveway width is sufficient from an engineering standpoint?
yes.
Please proceed.
Section 97-123-7C4B states that no driveways can be closer than 100 feet to an intersecting right-of-way. The wide driveway to the right-of-way of Harrison Avenue is 85 feet in lieu of the recommended 100 feet. There are no safety compromises with this design. It's essentially a function of the site. Similarly, clearly there are multiple driveways from the 13 townhomes on Harrison Avenue out to Harrison Avenue. Townhouse 6's feet from the right-of-way of West Prospect Street, and clearly townhouses 15 through 18, their driveways are well within 100 feet from the Frederick Street right-of-way. A waiver is requested, and similarly, lot units 19 and 20 are within 100 feet of the right-of-way of Harrison Avenue. So those respective waivers are requested.
Now, we look at the Boswell report, and I'll reference it. There's certain questions raised that we need to address. In that March 26th report, we're confirming that there'll be a lot consolidation. By all these lots will be consolidated by one deed, so we'll have one lot in the block, and the lot designation, of course, will be given by the tax assessor.
Yes.
The Boswell report, paragraph 22, requires you to submit a stormwater maintenance manual, which is required under the administrative code. You're familiar with how to do that, have done them, and will be doing it for this project.
Yes.
Paragraph 29 talks in terms, or speaks in terms of a retaining wall that's proposed along the west side of a parking lot separating the elevated pedestrian walkway. You point that out?
Okay, that is, and Mr. Zampolin will give additional testimony, but this is a long ramp, and there will certainly be a guardrail, safety rail system along that elevated walkway.
So we'll stipulate to that. Actually, the plans need to indicate fire zones on the site plan that would be approved and by the fire subcode official or the fire department, correct?
Correct. And we will communicate with the respective offices.
Testified as to sufficient flow for sewers, sufficient flow for water. There was a concern about electrical lines being maintained by PSE&G, and in the proximity of the new use mixed building electrical lines. Can you just address that briefly?
Yeah, this is actually interesting. And it's indicated by red line work on Exhibit A4, A3, and A5. The primary, there is a guy line there's a guy line, it is not an electric line. It is the guy line, and it's an interesting question as to which pole it benefits. But there's a guy line running from the utility pole at the corner of West Prospect Street to Harrison Avenue. It actually nips the corner of the property and connects those two poles. The primary electrical line is a straight run, does not go to that pole, and actually goes to a pole on the southerly portion of Harrison Avenue. To the benefit of the applicant, there's a 15-foot separation between the electrical lines and the proposed building in compliance with the code requirements. This guy line here is going to be investigated. It can remain as is, may not be too aesthetic, or a second pole to guide the respective poles installed.
And that's something that could be promulgated and worked out with PSE&G, correct?
Yes.
There was a request that you're going to have pavers between the sidewalk and the street in the, along the curb on Harrison. We'll confirm that we'll match the brick or the pavement that you require, correct?
Correct. It will be consistent as indicated on Exhibit A4, A3, and A5. That the brick pavers between the sidewalk and the curbing. Just the interior curbing is specified to be granite block curbing. The new curbing along Harrison Avenue, where there isn't any today, is going to be standard concrete curbing consistent with municipal standards. Certainly there will be ADA sidewalk ramps at the crosswalk for the entry into the parking area in the multi-use building. That information will be provided.
Anything else, Timur?
Give me one moment, but I think we got it covered. Yes.
This will proceed, this will be, in essence, our presentation from an engineering standpoint, and we open it to questions.
First, we'll ask the board. Yes, Matt, please. And folks, get your questions ready.
I have a question. Will a fire truck fit through that opening? You said it's 25 feet tall?
Yeah, 14 feet tall.
14 feet tall,
25 feet wide. Yes.
And a lift truck will fit through that?
Yes.
On the lighting plan, there's a pedestrian pathway shown between the, let's say, Harrison Ave going east towards the townhouses. Can you confirm that's there in all site plans or just shown in the lighting plan?
Okay. Repeat the question, please.
In the lighting plan, there's a pedestrian pathway shown from Harrison Ave going between the townhouses to the parking lot going towards the east.
Okay.
Can you confirm that's going to be installed or if that is going to be absent from the overall design?
Okay, that was actually, yes, it does show in the lighting plan, which is an older plan. That pedestrian walkway was eliminated for coverage purposes.
Seeing as there isn't lighting in that area, is there any building lighting in case it ever does become a, let's say, pedestrian pathway or, you know, a non-official pedestrian pathway?
Yes, certainly the multi-use building would accommodate wall lighting, absolutely.
And then another question on lighting as well. Looking at the east side of the parking lot towards the townhouses, we're at about 0.1 foot candles. Can you provide more information on the lighting from the townhouses and how we'll provide safety for cars backing out of that parking lot?
Well, okay, we're referring to...
The eastern townhouses plan, on the top of the plan?
You're referring to townhouses 1 through 5?
Correct. that on the lighting plan, we're seeing about 0.1 foot candles where the driveway meets the parking lot, and how we'll address any concerns of cars backing out from the parking lot towards the driveway and pedestrian safety.
Okay. This lighting plan does not include the lighting on the townhouses itself. This is focusing on the parking lot, the overhead parking lot lighting. That lighting will actually be enhanced by lighting on the townhouses.
Thank you.
Will an updated, more recent plan come for the lighting?
Yeah, we can update this, yes. This was, as the project progressed, we eliminated this section of sidewalk for coverage purposes. We can update the plan.
Thank you.
I had a question regarding parking on Harrison Avenue. So I imagine on the east side of Harrison, there'll be no street parking, but yet would it be on the west side of Harrison?
Okay, well, on the, you can see there's multiple curb cuts for the driveways. There's only opportunity for at best 5 or 6 curbside parking without blocking the driveway. Harrison Ave is currently posted parking for residents only.
Right.
But as a practical matter, at best would only be 5 curbside parking. I think that's a decision needs to be made. Will it be permitted and residents only as it is today? That's a decision that needs to be made.
That'd be a decision within the jurisdiction of the mayor and council and the police department.
But the plan provides for parking stall within, of course, the garage and a 20-foot plus parking stall within the driveway, parking area within the driveway.
What would prevent a non-resident from parking in the lot behind the building? Is there a pass? Will there be a pass to get through back there, parking, residents only?
Okay. Mr. Zampelin, there's a gate on the entry to the site. Certainly a non-resident who is visiting the retail on the first floor during normal business hours would have access to the interior parking area. But at a certain point in the evening, that will be made secure.
Okay, thank you.
Please.
Go ahead, Joe.
The lighting underneath, the pass-through underneath the building, can you specify that it's going to be flush mount lighting, so it doesn't decrease the height of the 14 feet proposed?
Yes, of course, yes.
Quick question regarding the front elevation on West Prospect. That is 52 feet 5 inches to the top of the parapet when you include the height to the roof plus the parapet at 4 feet. Is that correct?
I would defer to Mr. Zampelin for the building, for the parapet question.
Earlier, we spoke about the distance to driveways to the existing streets. I know at Frederick Street and the intersection of Harrison Ave, there is a stop sign. Can you provide the distance from the driveway to that stop sign?
From Unit 18, if you would allow me to give it to the curb line, I'm assuming the stop sign is probably 18 inches in or so. But from the Frederick Street curb line to the driveway for Unit 18 is 29 feet.
And we'll have no obstructions to anybody stopping at that stop sign or backing out of that driveway?
Excuse me?
And there'll be no obstructions for anybody stopping at the stop sign or backing out of that driveway?
I believe that's very practical, yes.
Thank you.
Any other members?
Quick question regarding the water and sewer. Who's responsible for sewer lines and water lines on the private property? Is that the utilities responsibility, or would that be the owner's responsibility?
Okay. And we've had preliminary discussions with DPW in this regard. That sewer line will be built to municipal standards. It will be, it's my understanding, the responsibility of the property owner, which in this case is a very capable construction company. Having said that, it may be prudent to provide an easement which gives the town the right, but not necessarily the responsibility to maintain that sewer line if there's an emergency or whatnot. But I defer to others in that regard. In regards to the sewer lines, just to put it on the record, it's a three-step process for the approvals. The first step is, of course, a review and approval by Boswell Engineering that the sewer line is built to municipal standards, and it is an 8-inch SDR 35 PVC pipe, 300, I believe it's 350 feet long, manhole at the end, a doghouse manhole to be constructed on West Prospect Street. Upon approval by Boswell Engineering, we would then submit the sewer forms to be signed by the municipality. We then make application to Northwest Bergen County Sewer Authority, and upon their approval, we submit to DEP for a treatment works approval. Treatment works approval is required here. It's more than 8,000 gallons a day and certainly more than 2 buildings. So the sewer is a very detailed, reviewed, and regimented process. But in answer to your question, we believe it's going to be a private sewer.
And some of the units are sharing sewer lines? Some of the units are sharing sewer lines based on your
Well, no,
drawings?
the townhouses with a common wet wall between the townhouse and 2 townhouses will share a sewer line. Certainly, there's one main sewer line for the apartment buildings, and they connect to the new sewer in the parking area.
Will the townhouses have their own individual water meters and curb boxes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Will the storm infiltration units need a permit by the DEP for discharge into the water, or no?
No.
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 Anyone else?
That 25 feet of width in the pass-through, is that sufficient for 2 cars to pass in opposite directions?
Yes. And that's consistent with RSIS standards.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Of course.
Townhomes 1 through 5, what's the trash collection plan for those?
Well, I'm going to have Mr. Zeppelin testify too, but I can give you the overview. All of the trash collection will be internal,
So private car service?
private car.
And then a question for Tibor. Limits of the sidewalk and curbing, will all this curbing and sidewalk on Frederick, Harrison, and West Prospect within the property frontage be replaced, or not?
Okay, there is no curbing on Harrison Avenue, so that's going to be brand new. The curbing on West Prospect is in good condition. Certainly where it is disturbed, it would be replaced in the next joint. And similarly on Frederick, there's 100 feet of curb here, but certainly where we're putting in 3 curb cuts, we can anticipate that it will be properly replaced. Yes.
You talked about 100 feet from the driveway to the corner of Harrison and West Prospect, right? But it's down to 85 feet, did you say?
It is 85 feet, yes, from the, not from the center line of the driveway, but from the closest edge of the 25-foot wide driveway to the corner of the right-of-way, it is 85 feet, where the Waldwick recommendation is 100 feet.
Understood. Tell me about folks that are going, I guess it's west, on West Prospect, to make a left into the driveway. There's enough,
Okay, so someone
To
coming
make the
from the
turn.
train, someone coming from the train station.
yeah,
It's going to be your typical left-hand turn where,
and there's still parking on the south side of West Prospect, yes?
I believe there is, yes.
Seems a little snug.
That the left-hand turn will require the normal patience and caution when one makes a left-hand turn.
Which, you have that somewhere in the neighborhood? Any of those in the neighborhood?
Left-hand turns?
Patience and
Oh.
courteous and all that? Yeah. So there won't be any no left turn options into that driveway? Or is that something that the traffic department would take care of?
That's true. Well, again, as a practical matter, I think the focus of this redevelopment area, as Mr. Whitaker pointed out, was that it's a transit village, where it's the right project in the right location because of its proximity to the train station. My personal opinion is half the residents who are going to occupy here are going to be occupying here so they can walk to the train station. But if they so choose to drive, yes, a left-hand turn would be required into the parking, into the entry driveway.
After they wait 2 years for a permit.
And there are no other options for the entry to the building?
That is the primary entry to this site. And just to get a visual, the proximity, this happens to bear with me here. This is a plan sheet all the way down to the train station, so I know everybody knows exactly where this is. But
So it's not just the folks that are living there, it's the folks that want to park there for retail space as well.
this plan sheet, this is actually a real cut and paste here, but it is, we surveyed. This is the subject site. This is the intervening block. This is Rocket Supply here. Houston Ave is here. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the train station is right here. This is the footprint of the Russo building. So it is a very short walk to the train station, which is, we believe, the central element of the whole project, and why we believe the borough had the vision to designate it as a redevelopment area.
But it's not just the folks that live in the building that will be going into that driveway. It will be folks that want to park there for retail space as well, correct?
Correct.
Yes. And the parking that's being proposed is compliant with the ordinance. They're contemplated commercial
parking.
as well as residential.
I'm just concerned about the entry and the left turn into the driveway from West Prospect. There are enough parking spaces, but that's not my question or my concern. Anyone else on the board?
The rental apartments are going to have their own, are they going to stipulate that they're getting 2 parking spaces per rental unit? And are they going to be dictated that way, or are they just free parking in the middle?
At this point in time, it is not designated parking stalls.
Okay. So the visitors, the retail station will be able to go into into any spot inside the interior area. Is that
Right.
what you're planning on?
And that's what's contemplated in the ordinance.
Right.
If Hare Cottage wasn't there, where would the manager be?
Off-site.
So we wouldn't have any space in the building.
Typically, some of these buildings, these type of developments don't have anybody on site. We looked at this and recognized that we're close to the maximum as far as number of units are concerned.
Oh.
So an existing apartment would be eliminated for purposes of having an area to store some cleaning supplies, a broom, a shovel, whatever else is needed there, and to have somebody that, when they are at site, have a place to go. It's not going to be an office with employees there
Understood.
9 to 5. It's just going to be the person who will manage it.
And no
probably
space.
manage more than this facility.
No space in the garage for something like that?
No space.
Designated supply closet or anything like that? There's no room for that?
In the garage, this would not, or the garage is,
Where the parking is,
no, the garage is for all the residents.
but not the manager or the
The
supply.
manager's not living there.
Oh, I understand
Yeah,
he's not
no,
living there.
no. All the garages are used for the residential purposes.
But there is storage area on the second floor of the Hare Cottage building for normal maintenance equipment or supplies.
Thank you. Just checking my phone. I put some notes on here. So the police report for the traffic said they would like to revisit at a later date. When does that actually happen?
We have a traffic engineer to testify at a future meeting.
Oh, okay, good. We'll discuss it then.
I recognize the constraints of time this evening, we're hard to stop at 10,
Gotcha.
so I didn't invite him to come tonight.
You knew that before you got here?
That's right.
Anyone else on the board? Good? Cliff?
No.
Anyone in the public have questions at this time? I think you have to come up, state your name, spell your last. You don't have to swear.
They do get sworn.
You will get sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name.
Andrew Guglielmo, 51 Highwood Ave, Waltham, New Jersey. I'm also the Borough Fire Chief.
All righty.
Do you have
Questions only.
questions only? Yes. You said that this was a security gate after hours that does go down, correct?
Yes.
We have another facility in town that has the security gate after hours, and the fire department cannot get into it rapidly. So I do see that being an issue here as well. I also see that there's only one access coming into here. Any thought of taking one or two of these homes out of the front here, removing them so there's another access? Because to me, it's a safety issue for these residents. If something happens in here, residents can't get out. So that's my thought on that. I do know there was a meeting between the fire department and the DPW regarding removing this fire hydrant and moving it up to this way. I didn't see the plans changing that yet. And also the water main that's 4-inch from here to here. I know there was a recommendation for changing that from 4-inch to 8-inch as well.
So there's a series of questions there, Chief Ward. Let's address them one at a time.
If you could, please.
Okay. No problem relocating the fire hydrant
Okay.
to one of these islands here.
Can you speak up, sir? I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, no problem relocating the fire hydrant from the end of the parking lot to the middle of the parking lot in one of these planted islands. That will put it within 50 feet of the electric charging stations. Similarly, I think the original request was for a fire hydrant on Harrison to the rear of Unit 7. We were suggesting moving it down to line up with the alleyway. No problem with that.
Okay.
From a state code perspective, a 6-inch ductile iron line would be more than sufficient for this project. We met with DPW earlier. As a result of that meeting, we upgraded the line from a 6 to an 8, which is off the 10-inch line in West Prospect Street. Yes, there'll be more specific flow tests performed. The 8-inch line is more than adequate for fire protection. We then added the 4-inch loop. There was more of the concern there was stagnant water at the
Correct,
end.
that's where I was going with the 4-inch
Yeah.
coming out.
So the 8-inch line is more than adequate for fire protection. The 4-inch loop addresses the stagnant water question, so we believe this is a good design.
Okay.
As far as eliminating 2 units, the ordinance specifies or allows for 33 units per acre, which is what the project is proposing. So I defer to others in that regard.
Okay. 2 more questions. Where is the FDC located? Here?
The fire department connection,
Yep.
yeah, right here.
Okay.
And there's going to be a Knox box on the front of the building.
Was there any discussion about an additional fire hydrant here with your talks with the DPW?
No, there's one directly across.
No, I know that was there, but there was other talks about,
That's.
had not?
That.
Okay. If this were to be needed to be relocated here rather than here, is that an issue?
Not a problem at all.
Okay. All right, but
As far as entry is concerned, I mean, we were proposing a Knox box for
Yeah.
off hours.
Yeah, but we could certainly relocate the fire department connection.
okay. No, I'm just saying about the gate because we have issues with the other place right now, getting in there. So I foresee this being the same issue. You were talking about parking before and making a left into the building. There's still going to be no parking on the north side of this West Prospect, correct? That's not changing?
You're asking me?
Well, we have no authority over the parking on the street.
Okay, no, I'm just making sure because we have 2 very large pieces of fire apparatus that if you put parking on that side of the street, guess what? You're not getting a fire apparatus in there.
Okay, there's
So-
no proposal by the applicant for parking on West Prospect Street. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So the jurisdiction for parking on any of the streets in the town,
Okay.
mayor and council, so they can work it out.
Just asking. That's all.
Sure.
Okay.
Very good.
But there's been no discussions about removing anything in here to have the residents get out at all, correct?
Correct.
So,
Is there a preference as to which island the fire hydrant?
closer to better.
Closer to better.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you be specific, closer to what?
It'll be, the fire hydrant would be the planted island in front of townhouse.
Between 1 and 2.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Can I point out something that, as far as Fire Chief mentioned getting out, isn't there going to be space at the top left-hand corner and also around units 19 through 21? Isn't that area, is that going to be clear? Is there going to be fenced there? Or I mean, that should be enough to get out of the area, like he was talking about, as far as people goes.
Talk about pedestrian access?
Yes, that's what he was talking about, pedestrian access.
Mr. Schatz, I was also talking about vehicular traffic coming out as well. Because they're going to be landlocked in that facility if there's a fire or something within the parking garage or in the main building.
Vehicular, right. How wide is between those, that space there, between those 2 units, on either side of the units, 19 and 21? Yeah.
Between 19 and 17.
Between 19 and 17, there is 10-foot separation, and between Unit 6 and the multi-use building is 12-foot. We could, we're at 79.8% lot coverage. We, with a de minimis, dare I say the word variance, we could extend sidewalks there if deemed prudent. We could also make those pervious pavers. From a coverage drainage perspective, certainly the drainage system would handle that small increase. That warrants discussion.
Paul or Jim, any comments on that?
I don't think a vehicle could fit there right now, so it's not going to provide vehicle access, but certainly somebody could walk out there. If they put a pathway, they could walk out there, or just be grass, they could walk. So I don't think it matters either way. But certainly a vehicle can't fit through there. Not a fire truck, for sure.
No, I think he's talking about personal vehicles.
No, yeah.
They're less than 10.
Even still,
They're less than 12 feet, 10 feet.
You have some stairways here. You have some walkways. It's behind units 15 and 16. So
I've seen the fire blocks, which were like grass and blocks in the middle of them. That's as they use it as secondary, not for fire department, but for vehicles going in and out. Just for an emergency situation, if you had to drive onto those blocks, the grass blocks, those kind of things. That would take care of the impervious stuff. But also, you could handle a personal vehicle if you had to do that.
Paul?
We have ma'am, I'm sorry. We have 2 spots in town that have it already with the blocking for the Bristol building, and also Sarah Crawford Way has it as well.
I would just add, I think it makes sense potentially look into that, but as far as the access point, this is no different than any mixed-use development with a garage and one point of entry. Despite the fact that it's open in the interior, it's not at all uncommon to have a single access point. I get the concern, obviously, of safety, but for this size project, there's no requirement to have a secondary access, but it sounds like the board is inclined to ask the applicant to look into that. I think it's a good idea between now and next time to explore some options with it.
Yes, sir.
How about removing the security gate?
We'll take that under advisement. It's the first time it's been asked of us. We can look at it for the next.
Very good. We're here to talk about it.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that there's going to be 7 charging stations on site. I see 6 in the parking lot and 1 underneath the apartment building.
I believe so, yes.
Is there concern with regards to fire?
Well,
Is that
this-
gonna
but
be- I'm
we
just
have-
going based on what the chief mentioned with regards
Yeah.
to access and having a charged car underneath, if that catches on fire.
I recognize that there's also a supplemental requirement that one of the ADA stalls needs to be EV with an electric charging station for a handicap stall. We thought it made all the sense to put the handicap stalls in the covered parking area. We could revisit that, move the EV ADA stall to the exterior if it's a concern. But that's how it evolved.
It does meet building code requirements because there's contemplation. There are some buildings like this are being built where it's all underground parking, and EVs have to be there anyway because they're required.
Understood that they're required, it's just,
No, I mean, they're required and they're put into underground parking spaces where there's no outdoor parking.
Where would the outdoor parking be for someone in the building?
The 34 parking stalls are indicated on Exhibit A4. There's light gray dashed lines representing the striping.
So it could be one on each side of
Yes.
that parking area
Yes,
and not inside the garage?
there's 11 parking stalls in the bicycle storage in the covered parking area, and 34 outside.
Does that make more sense? Mr. Joe Misselwick, you have any comment on that?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
On having the EV on a handicap inside?
Well, I know what the requirements, allow. I know with some of the history and recent issues with some of those cars catching on fire, ultimately, I would probably prefer to have that spot on the outside of the building instead of underneath the building.
Agreed.
Going back to the egress, or in the case of emergency, What is the distance between unit number 19 and that staircase behind unit number 15 and 16? What's the distance? Can a car in case of emergency be able to drive around that to exit onto Frederick?
Okay, the distance is 13 feet, and that is impractical for a vehicle.
So you don't think that a car in case of emergency would be able to exit through there?
Exit through here?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little dark.
There was discussion earlier
Smart
on
car.
a sloped sidewalk or a guardrail and retaining wall. Does that relate to the area in question in that corner? Is that above the grade of the parking lot?
This walkway is at grade here and slopes up to the rear of units 10 and 11. Mr. Zamperly can advise as to the elevation change, and you can see there's a set of stairs there. So it is a nice uniform grade, provide access to the rear of these units. The formal front door of these townhouses will be to Harrison Avenue, but there is rear doors off, we'll call it a bonus room. Mr. Zamperly will give testimony on that, but this is a upward sloping walkway to the rear of units 10 and 11.
Perhaps I'm confused, and that happens all the time. But I think you just testified that between units 19 and really where that stairway is off the back of 15, that's 13 feet. Is that what you said?
Excuse me? The distance between unit 19 and the walkway.
In other words, if that were to be considered an emergency egress for vehicles, that it's insufficient because it's 13 feet. Was that your testimony?
Yes, that's what he said.
I think you said that because that measures 13 feet, it would be insufficient for a vehicle as emergency egress. Is that correct or not?
That is correct. There's a curb line here, there's a walkway, and the distance is 13 feet, and it's just impractical.
Is that because it's not exactly a straight shot?
Correct.
Okay, because I was getting concerned when
Yes.
you were saying 13 feet isn't enough, but you had also told me that 25 feet was enough to have two cars go side by side.
Yeah, there's various impediments here. There's a curb line, there's landscaping, it's not a straight shot.
Okay.
It is impractical.
Thank you.
Any other board members? Back to the public. Questions? Yes, please come forward. First and last name, spell your last and be sworn in, please.
Yes, my name is Patricia Hartig, Hartig, and I live at 44 Harrison.
Would you be so kind, ma'am? Just stand over by that microphone, please.
Thank you. Talking loud. Okay, my name is Patricia Hartig, Hartig. I live at 44 Harrison Avenue, in direct contact with this development. Okay?
Okay. Ms. Market, if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please confine yourself to
Questions? Yep.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I have quite a few, I'm sorry. I'm very, with this concern, where is it, on the parking of, on Frederick Street right here, people are going to be backing out. Very tight street when people are parked, one on each side. I don't know how people are going to back out safely, and they're right near a stop sign. Very concerned about that. A lot of kids ride the street, and it's a very busy intersection.
Ask a question, please.
Oh, no. Okay, just be aware. I'm asking what they're going to do about the busyness. Keep reminding me that. I'll do my best. I'm wondering what else you can do about the exit onto Prospect Street. because of the stop signs and all the traffic. Is there anything else you can do with that exit? Is that a good question?
Sounds good.
Okay, and I wanted to know, you were speaking about removing soil. What will you do in terms of, this is going to affect our environment, all this dust and everything. What are you going to do
So
for us with?
Let's answer one question at a time. Okay, Tibor, let's answer the question about the parking on Frederick and the ingress and egress of residents to the townhomes.
Okay, well, Frederick Street is a standard 30-foot wide curved roadway.
Yes, it is.
So you indicate that it's tight, that's 30-foot is your standard roadway throughout New Jersey. So it's,
So a 30-foot roadway width is used when people have a driveway that fronts their home and they back out onto the street?
yes, normal and customary.
Okay.
In fact, in other residential developments, RSIS allows for even narrower, but in this case, 30 feet is proper, normal, and customary. I think the stop sign is a benefit because it's a traffic control measure. People will be, should be proceeding slower as they approach the stop sign. So the second question is the access. What else can be done to the access?
Yes, it's very near where people are going to be pulling across Harrison Ave in the morning. Is there anything you can do to make that more controlled? Because it's a very, can't say that.
So the question being that, is there any alternative to where
To
this has
that.
been
That
proposed?
is-
Or from an engineering standpoint, is this the appropriate location?
It is the most practical location. It aligns with the center line of the parking area, which then impacts, it's a domino effect. It impacts many different things. This is the most practical location for the access and egress. If anything, it's actually further from the intersection of Harrison Ave than, let's say, the exit from the Rite Aid. It really is, given the constraints of this site, the best and most practical location.
And what are you going to do about all the cars backing out onto Harrison Avenue? Control traffic and protect us as people walking, and what are you going to do?
That is a normal vehicular movement for every single-family home. I do it every day, every morning, and I'm sure you do as well. That is a normal and customary vehicular movement.
Okay, my next question is, are you going to do an abatement on this property while they're doing the construction, and how long are you planning on it taking?
Okay, when you say abatement,
Like, are you going to get a reduction in taxes because your property is under
Without,
construction? or
it's not within the jurisdiction of the board.
Exactly.
Improper question.
Drop the question? Okay.
Improper.
Oh, improper. I just,
Board doesn't have any jurisdiction about taxes.
okay, and what are you going to do with all the trucks that are removing dirt? Because we already, no, what are you going to do with them?
Okay, so we stipulated that the truck route, as required under the municipal ordinance, is something that has to be approved by the Borough Police Department. And we will adhere to wherever they want us to take the truck traffic out from here. You heard the testimony of the number of trucks that are
5, yes.
proposed.
I did, and
okay?
I was concerned.
And as far as the question you asked earlier pertaining to dust, et cetera, the ordinance is very specific. There has to be soil erosion control measures, and there has to be done under the auspices of your construction department, building department, as well as the borough engineer.
Okay.
in addition, Bergen, actually multiple layers of inspection and enforcement. Bergen County Soil Conservation District will also be monitoring the site. After the tree removal, the very first thing is you'll see silt fence going up. If there's any soil stockpiles, they'll be sprayed down to control the dust. We are a stone's throw from Joe's office, so.
And what time do they plan on starting work in the morning?
There's a borough ordinance that
I don't know it, though.
Yeah.
What is it?
I think
Everybody kind of does whatever they want.
7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, people kind of just landscapers whenever they want to work.
Is that weekdays and then 8 on
7
the weekends? But
Correct.
they won't be working on the weekends?
Yes.
And 8 on the weekends?
Correct. Yeah, that will be discussed whether they'll be allowed to do so or not.
Right.
Mrs. Hartig, if I'm not mistaken, I think I read that the trucks will be Harrison Avenue, West Prospect, and right to Route 17, if I'm not mistaken, but...
Yeah, I just live on the corner.
There's a 15-ton limit on East Prospect Street, so these tandem dump trucks that are full, I don't think they're gonna be going down East Prospect. I think they're gonna be going down Franklin Turnpike or north on Franklin. Because that's 15-ton limit on East Prospect.
And one other question. You're moving the fire hydrant on the corner of Frederick?
No, that is remaining.
That's going to stay there
Absolutely.
exactly where it is?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I get a deduction, my insurance for that. And I'm going to fight for that. So you got to get a deduction where you can. So that's actually going to still stay there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I'll be on the floor next time.
Very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else with questions? Yes, please come forward.
Don't get your hips done, that's what I'm saying.
You know the drill.
I know
Your
the
name?
Mary Mulvaney, 128 East Prospect Street, Waldwick, New Jersey, 074632240.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
It's a real number.
It's a real zip code.
Hold on just a moment, please.
Oh, sorry, I have
Restate
to.
your last name and your
Mulvaney.
address, please. Spell your last name.
Oh, Mulvaney.
Into the microphone.
I wish everybody spoke into the microphone, including the board members, because sitting back there with you guys here, it's hard to discern every word.
Understood.
Thank you. Hi.
Where on East Prospect?
128, between Ridge and the highway.
All right, and raise your right hand, please. Swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Questions only.
Questions? You have 2 ADA parking spaces. What do you have?
We have more than 2.
Well, you have four spaces? Two areas, 4 spaces?
We have a standard size and a van accessible.
You do, that was my, one question was, are they van accessible? Okay, if they're van accessible and people living there have wheelchairs, is there access into these apartments or townhouses that are ADA accommodating?
Yes, Mr. Zampelman will give testimony in that regard.
Okay, then I should end. Is that it?
Well, unless you have questions about what he testified to, which pertains to the
Well,
civil
was the
engineering
ADA
aspect. But the ADA,
Well, I don't-
we're providing the parking spaces. Mr. Zamplin, our architect, is familiar with the code compliance from a building perspective. He's
Oh,
our next witness.
He's the next one. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, sir. Just as a note, we have 42 minutes left.
Okay, I won't be that long. Jim Schultz, 52 Harrison Avenue, SCHULTZ.
You swear testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Do you have the diagram of the parking on Harrison Ave here?
Well,
So there's going to be a curb on the west side of Harrison?
no, we're just curbing on the east side
East
of
side.
Harrison.
Why wouldn't you curb the west side?
That's off-site. I believe there's been conceptual discussions on a project there, but that is, we are proposing curbing on the east side of
East side,
Harrison
right.
Avenue.
So between the driveways, what's the distance? So the driveway's here, what's the distance to the next driveway?
It varies, for example, between 8 and 7 is 16 feet. It narrows down to as little as 3 feet, so 3 to 17 feet.
Okay, so have you ever driven down the street during the day?
Multiple times, yes.
Have you driven down at lunchtime?
Not at lunchtime.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, can you drive down there at lunch? Because my concern is this. The street's going to be narrower than it is today, or no?
It's going to be We will construct a curb 15 feet off the center line of the road.
Okay, so and I don't have it in front of you, does 15 feet, do you know where that goes to today? Does it go to somebody's front lawn? Because the whole block has no curb, and
It's a ragged edge with
Right.
puddles and everything. It's going to be 10 feet in from the right-of-way, 15 feet from the center line. That's a standard, that is the municipal standard.
okay. So I guess the question for maybe the planning board is, I think you've all been here at lunch when everybody's at Ike's and Charlie's and the martial arts place at night. My concern, or the question is,
Jim, that's not a question.
right, the question is, how are you going to accommodate the afternoon parking and the evening parking there? So that's one, I don't know if you can answer that or if the planning
I
board.
think that's the traffic engineer.
Okay, so if the traffic engineer,
Another night.
another night.
Exactly.
You said there were 87 parking spaces, right?
Well, yes.
And the code is 78?
It's 87, requirement is 87, and 87 are provided.
Okay, how did they come up with the 87? What number did they use for occupancy?
Okay, well, that is,
The code, based on the units being built, we comply with the code.
Right, do we know what that number is? Is it like 2.5?
it is, the code is for the townhouses, 2 spaces per dwelling unit per townhouse.
Okay.
And for the apartments, it's 1.5 space per dwelling unit.
Okay.
That is the code. That is the,
Does the same number get used for occupancy then in 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments or townhouses? How do you figure the occupancy on that?
It's by the ordinance.
Because
It's oriented from the ordinance, and we
Yeah.
follow the ordinance requirements.
It's a straight
straight, so it's...
straight block.
Okay. Because I looked up the census number, and it's about 2.5 per dwelling. And average household is 2.54, which is a little off, but...
Yeah,
'cause
but
I'm
it
trying-
depends on the type of dwelling and the zone.
Okay.
In this case, the townhouses have a requirement of 2 spaces. Single-family houses in that area, 3 spaces, 1 in the garage.
So of the 87, how many were going to be used for, because there were 3, there was a hair cottage and the retail space, right? What was the third one? There's
there's a retail space.
Right.
2 per each townhouses, and then there's 13 spaces for visiting patrons of the commercial space.
Okay. And I remember from the one town mayor and council meeting, we're looking at multiple restaurants in this?
There's no tenants at this time.
There's no, okay, because I thought one of the selling points were we're going to have multiple restaurants and strip malls and stuff like that in
Well,
there.
it's a little small for a strip mall.
Okay, no, I'm just, that was at the one council meeting, there was mention of that. So again, if they have that safety gate at night, the only people that will be able to park in here are the residents then?
Yes.
That is
Okay.
correct. That was the thought behind putting the safety gate in.
Okay. And then just the number you came up for the water usage, did you use the state occupancy for that to calculate the?
We use the state code to calculate the water and sanitary sewer flows, yes.
Okay. And was it more or less, do we know what the flow is today here?
Well, for the 5 single-family homes, using the state numbers, is 1,825 gallons a day.
Okay. But nobody checked and saw what they use today, right? Did you go to the water department and say
No,
this is the gallon?
no.
Okay. And last question is, are they still planning on using a pilot program for this? Do we know?
Well,
That
not
has
within the
been-
jurisdiction of the
that's
planning
not
board.
within the jurisdiction of the board. That's between them and the mayor and council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public with questions? I thought there was someone else. No? Going once? No one else?
Well, our next witness, Robert Zamplin.
Thank you.
I know.
No, that's for you. Yes, sir, yes, sir. No, for sure. And you have a reservation of individual? That's not good. You can have it.
Started. Okay, 40-something minutes. Sworn in, Mr. Singer.
We don't have it. Hello.
Good evening.
You swear testimony you're about to
Folks, excuse me. Thank you.
swear testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
State your name, spell your last, give us the benefit of your expertise.
Certainly. My name is Robert.
Excuse me. Thank you.
My name is Robert Zampolin. That's Z-A-M-P as in Peter, O-L-I-N. Licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. Office address is 187 Fairview Avenue, Westwood. Been a licensed architect since 1985. I've testified before the planning board a number of years ago, and I've testified before hundreds of other planning boards in the state of New Jersey over the past 40 years.
Would it be correct to say that you've designed buildings similar to this throughout the state of New Jersey?
That's correct, Bruce.
And you're familiar with building code requirements, ADA requirements, and affordable housing requirements?
Yes, I am.
I would ask that Mr. Zamplin be qualified as a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, and for that purpose, have the ability to render a professional opinion in that field.
So accepted, and same instruction applies to you. Again, expert opinions, you don't have to accept them, but to the extent that they're helpful, you absolutely can use them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Zamplin, I would like you to take us through what is being proposed here and walk us through the development.
Yes, certainly, Bruce. So, you know, obviously a lot of testimony has been given, so rather than being redundant and just repeating some of the same facts. So some of the other points on the townhomes are the actual sizes of the townhomes themselves. So each townhome has a footprint of 20 feet in width by 35 feet of depth. So it's basically, its footprint area is exactly 700 square feet. All the townhomes have the identical footprint in terms of their size. We did design them, as Tibor mentioned, with cantilever projections. It's designed with angled bays, box bays, which are 90-degree corners, bays with 45-degree corners, just for the aesthetics. In terms of actual total building area for each townhome, has a total of about 2,200 square feet. Of the 2,200 square feet, if you subtract out the garage and mechanical spaces, you know, the true living area for each townhome is about 1,900 square feet. So that's the design of the townhomes. Now, as everyone knows, there's 3 building clusters. Of the 3 building clusters, we have 15 interior townhome units. So the interior townhome units have obviously only window availability front and back. Those townhomes are designed as 2-bedroom units. And then in the design, we have end unit conditions on the 3 buildings. So we've designed those units with 3 bedrooms. Granted, the 3rd bedroom is a small bedroom, but it's actually a code-compliant bedroom. So we have 6 end units and we have 15 interior units. So I wanted to add that to the testimony. And as Bruce and Tibor mentioned, there's one garage which is 11.5 feet by 20 feet, which is certainly a more than sufficient garage for a vehicle. On the ground floor, the ground floor is really the first floor, and in some situations, and Tibor made reference about the 8-foot change in slope on the property. So some of the townhomes, the first floor on the interior of the parking lot is actually somewhat below grade. That's why Tibor was talking about those steps and the ramps, because we actually have entrance doors coming in from theoretically the 2nd floor on the interior of the parking lot, whereas the public entrance for visitors is on the 1st floor from, let's say, the Harrison Street side, because of the townhomes create a change in topography between the interior of the parking lot and the street side. So and so Tibor made reference to buildings 10 through 16. Those are the buildings that actually have an additional entrance coming in right from the parking lot. You see that actually better on the 3D rendering. You know, it shows the entry doors, and that's the railing system for that retaining wall that the engineer made reference to, and then the steps that come down in terms of the property. And then in terms of the floor plans, you know, the ground floor is obviously an entrance hall from the public side coming into a coat closet, staircase going up to the main living area, den, full bathroom, mechanical room. The main living floor is the second level. You know, in 7 units, we do have an entrance door from the parking lot side. And again, it's an open plan, which everybody's been doing for the past 10 years. There's no walls except for the powder room and coat closets. And the interior unit has a primary bedroom, which would actually be on the street side. We have the second bedroom, which would be on the parking lot side, hall, bath, small den, and nice walk-in closets, and a laundry closet. We do have a roof access. The roof is a flat roof in terms of the design of the units, and the roof access is to provide for maintenance people, obviously, to get to the rooftop condensing units. The condensing units will not be visible to any residents or from the street because there's a decorative 4-foot parapet as part of the architectural detailing. The real structural, the line of the structure itself is really 4 feet below all the cornice moldings that we're designing across the building. And so the building height is always taken from the top of the roof structure. That's in your ordinance in section 97.122-1. Parapets are excluded. Everything is taken to the top of the structure. So that would be the interior unit. And the 3-bedroom unit is essentially identical to the interior unit, except obviously on the third floor, this is our 8.5 foot by 8.5 foot third legal bedroom. Again, the primary bedroom at the bay area, hall, bathroom, and the second bedroom on the parking lot side. Essentially the same program. And on the key map, it just shows obviously where the end units are located. And then in terms of the elevations of the building, you know, we obviously have the 2D elevations, which are obviously doesn't show it as representational as nicely as but the building height on the Harrison Street side is about 30 feet tall based on T-Bar's average grade. Your ordinance talks about average grade, and T-Bar calculated the average grade on all the buildings. So the building heights vary. We have it from 30 feet on Houston, then we have a 38-foot average building height, and we also have a 41-foot average building height. Again, they're all compliant with the ordinances. The ordinance allows you to actually go all the way up to 50 feet. We certainly don't need 50 feet by any stretch. The elevations for the materials of the building, it's 3 stories of brick, which will be all brick on the street-facing sides. The only changes of the materials would be where the projecting bays would be coming out. In discussions with the clients, we have a light gray tone in terms of the bays and the dark black windows, which is very popular. The clients and I were talking about it yesterday, and we're thinking about maybe changing this to some cream colors, and just, you know, so there might be a change in color in some of the bays. Right now, it's designed with vertical board and batten, which is Hardy Plank is like the, you know, the industry leader of siding materials these days. They pretty much make almost anything these days in large format panels. So they have board and batten, they have horizontal, they have large format sheets, which we'll be using different combinations. Then we have that cornice and detailing, which adds to that, you know, nice kind of row home aesthetic that we're looking to go with in terms of the design of the buildings. There's precast detailing with all the brickwork, and obviously the one-car garage. And the rendering shows the public entrances with the doors coming in from the Harrison Street side. And then on the interior of the parking lot side, we still have brick on it's really on the second floor and in some vertical elements going up to the third floor. We have little Juliet balconies for the aesthetic. We have the secondary entry doors, again, and Hardy Plank, and again, some cornice molding up at the parapet line. And that's pretty much the townhomes, Bruce.
So take us through now the apartment units in commercial space.
So that, this. And then we have our sheet A5 represents the 4 floor plans of the apartment building, mixed-use building. The apartment building, the building fronting on Harrison has an overall width of 64 feet. The depth going east to west on West Prospect has a measurement of approximately 165 feet. Again, the ground floor, Bruce mentioned it's a little bit over 3,500 square feet of retail space. We have our covered parking, and Tibor talked about the 11 covered parking spaces. And then we also have our lobby entrance, which is on the far eastern side of the building. And for the resident that was concerned about the ADA, 100% correct. The change in topography from the West Prospect side is an ADA entrance coming in, but in order to accommodate a person needing assistance, there's a handicap ramp that comes up into the elevator lobby location, because we also have the elevator lobby entrance coming in from residents coming in and parking, coming in at the higher elevation here. And from what I remember, it was several feet in terms of the elevation difference, so there's ramps to provide all that ADA access. Townhomes are considered single-family homes that are attached, so theoretically there's no ADA requirement in a single-family home. It's only in the commercial building and the apartment building, so there's no ADA requirement in a home itself. Obviously, all the apartments have to be designed with full ADA access, so everything has to be adaptable. So bathrooms are always over-designed with the turning radiuses for the wheelchair. They're not fit out with the grab bars, but all the blocking is placed in the walls, so should a resident need that, all the grab bars can be put in after the fact. And kitchens are designed so that there's always a removable section of the cabinetry to then provide that drop-down cabinetry for an ADA resident. But all the finished flooring material has to be built all the way under so that when it gets taken out, all that finished material is still there, so it doesn't look like it's been a patch job. So that's all part of that whole ADA transition when you build it, because you just don't know who's going to come in, and then you modify it as necessary. So we talked about the gate, and we had discussions about that, and we thought having an open metal brick pattern gate that you'd actually have visibility late at night for residents to have more of a feeling of security, for people when you're in a parking lot. Granted, it's lit, as Tibor said, but, we thought the gate was a good thing, but I guess that's subject to discussion, I suppose. So there was the idea of having a gate. So when we did the rendering, we showed it as a full open overhead door with the 14-foot high clearance. Obviously, the ceiling would be higher than the 14 feet to receive the coil of the overhead door, so no lighting would extend below the 14 feet. But, that's, security at night, it seems to make sense, but I get where the emergency people are coming from, too. I just think with technology now, I thought there would definitely be a way because the residents would have a key fob after hours to click it and the door would go up. So our understanding was, if whatever the retail hours were, if they shut down at 10 o'clock at night, if it is a restaurant or something like that, after 10:05, the gate comes down, and everybody feels like, you're coming in from a late show in the city or something, or you can come in and not look over your shoulder. In terms of the actual unit count, I wanted to go through that because that's important. Of the 21 units, we have 6 COA units. We have 1 3-bedroom COA unit. We have 4 2-bedroom COA units and 1 1-bedroom COA unit, and that's as per the requirements. And then we have a total of, I'm sorry?
What's COA?
Oh,
Council on Affordable Housing.
Right.
So it's the affordable housing.
And then for the market rate units, there's 9 2-bedroom market rate units, 4 1-bedroom with den units, and 2 1-bedroom units, and then the total's 21. And the units vary from the 1-bedroom of about 700 square feet to the 2 bedrooms, which are actually a little bit over 1,100 square feet. So they're good-sized units. And the COA units are placed on the 2nd and 3rd floor. In addition to the COA units on the 2nd and 3rd floor, on the 2nd floor, literally on the center line of what was the overhead door, is the fitness center, which is about 900 square feet. And we see that in the 3D rendering. That's where we actually brought the brick up to the 3rd floor sill level. And these sets of windows were actually the windows that are in the fitness center above the overhead door coming in. And then in addition to that, we have an amenity space. In the amenity space, we thought that would be, for residents, if they have a birthday party or a meeting or something or other, that was where that was going to be happening. We talked about refuse with the private haulers, and we have other developments where they come in with pickup trucks, basically, not with the big garbage equipment. And the pickup truck would come in. We talked about flipping the elevator and the refuse room, because after talking with some of the haulers, that refuse room is not large enough. So we said we'd flip the elevator and the chutes for the residents, so the chutes would come down where the elevator is located, and then we have all this space which we labeled manager's office, but it's not the manager's office. It's going to be a separate chute for recycling, a separate chute for, obviously, household scraps. So, and then the collection point would be right through here, and it would have to be done at a certain point where, they can access it from the parking lot side, and then obviously all the regular trash from the other residents. In terms of materials for the building, we have it again with all brick, going all the way up all 4 stories. We have large format windows. We have precast heads all across the storefront. Now the storefront this is our 60-foot depth of the retail space and our 64-foot width along Harrison. The panels of glass that are on either side of the overhead door, we just thought that would just be opaque glass, just to make it look like a continuation of the storefront, rather than just having a bunch of brick or more metal work, and then see the cars that are parked behind the glass. So you really only see the overhead door. The glass is like shielding the look of looking into the side of a vehicle. Well, this would actually be the bicycles all here. This would be a vehicle on the west side over there. So it's more storefront. So you have a nice continuation of the retail feel all across the whole facade. And then in terms of materials, again, we have large format hardy plank vertical siding. We have board and batten siding. And again, the same vertical siding there. And as well, when talking with the clients, we were talking about maybe changing the color scheme, lightening up some of the tones. The brick, I think, was always a home run. Maybe some of the materials, we lighten them up to match the townhomes. The overall building height, and that one gentleman on the board was talking about the 52 feet, but the ordinance is based on the top of the roof structure. The parapet is purely decorative, just to give that detail of the parapet and the molding.
What is the portion, is that for the people walking on the roof there, no, in the middle? Yeah, in the middle of that, right in the middle on the top.
Yeah, that's the staircase that comes up to the top.
And that doesn't include, that's not a facade.
No,
But that's going to make it...
That would be a stair tower that comes up.
55,
That 4 feet, well, that would be, if I measured the top of the stair tower, that would probably be like another 4 feet, so that would be 8 feet, 56 feet to the top of the stair tower.
That's not included?
That's not included. That's an exemption, cupolas and things like that.
Ordinance 50 feet, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, 50 feet, but that's based on building height, which the building height would be based on to the top of the roof structure. So we're well below that. We're a foot and a half below that. And again, we have and I think we talked about that when we made the initial presentation to Mayor and Council. The 14-foot height requirement, getting the emergency vehicles in. Obviously, look, from a retail perspective, it's fantastic. They got great ceiling heights for kind of, if it is a restaurant, nice high spaces, which is nice. But typically, it's 12 feet. It's not 17 foot 7 1/4 inches. So the building's actually lifted up like 5 feet on the low side because the property falls off. So we have basically like a 14.5-foot high ceiling here, actually almost 15 feet, and it goes down to 17 foot 7 on the other side, because obviously West Prospect slopes down a bit.
Can you provide more information on the construction type of all 3 buildings?
The townhomes would be obviously light frame wood construction, with brick veneer, so like any townhomes that you see going up right now. T-Bar mentioned that the buildings would be sprinklered. When you get the sprinkler, it's a get-out-of-jail-free card in terms of the means and methods of construction, because if you don't sprinkler it, everything on the inside is fire rated up to the yin-yang. So every duct penetration has fire dampers, every penetration for a light fixture has to have the special fire caulk. So 99.9% of all 3-story townhouses are all sprinklered now. So that's what everybody does. The apartment building, typically, the first floor underneath the parking garage would have a concrete deck or a 2-hour fire-rated ceiling. We haven't gotten into the means and methods of construction. This can be an all wood frame building. The client is a pretty experienced heavy commercial guy, so I'm thinking that it might be a steel structure and concrete, and then you go up with a wood frame for 3 stories. But that's...
I think based on some of the comments tonight and the concerns of underneath that building, that should be examined of what happens beneath that structure.
Right.
Could you also speak more on the demising walls between the different apartment buildings and what the construction would be for that?
Everything, all the apartments, all the demising walls would only be 1 hour rated construction. Obviously, all the firewalls with the sprinklers in the townhomes would only be a 1 hour rated construction. If there were no sprinklers, it would be a 2 hour rated assembly. And obviously, all the walls, even if they're 1 hour rated, all the townhouses are designed to, God forbid, it is a fire and for some reason the department can't get it under control. All buildings are meant to collapse individually without taking down the other ones. All the studs and bearing walls are independent, and there's a liner panel of a thick sheet rock that allows the building to literally fall in on itself without doing incredible damage to the adjacent structures. You've seen that in some newer buildings where you see one building is gone and the other buildings are still standing. So that's all the means and methods.
Can I keep asking questions? Is that okay?
Sure.
Sound rating between different units?
Well, they have to comply with the STC of, I think it's 55 or something minimum, but, you know, it depends on, you know, the level of quality that you want to get. If you spray foam the walls and go with denser sheetrock, you know, heavier 5/8 sheetrock, multiple layers, you just make the building better.
Do you anticipate any supply chain problems with the projects that are being constructed out there today?
Right now, the
You know,
problem...
historically, in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
with COVID and everything, there's been...
You know what, the biggest problem now with all construction sites, it's not necessarily a supply chain, it's more labor. There's just not enough people to work it. You know, go by project sites now, you see 4 guys, and there's just nobody there. There's just not enough help. That's the biggest problem.
Does your developer anticipate any...
The developer's got multiple projects and has not had problems with it. An example I can think of that went fairly quickly is One Franklin. You looked at that one being built. That went fairly quickly. All occupied there.
I had a question, Hair Cottage, it's bright white now with black trim. Is that going to blend in with?
Yeah, we didn't render that hair cottage, but I guess we could certainly...
I can't see what you're saying.
It's not like we kind of like turned a blind eye to that. But we could certainly look at that so it doesn't look like it
Absolutely.
doesn't belong.
Will you own that, or is that, you say you have the space up on top, you renting that?
No, the space at the top of the hair cottage is the manager's office.
So you're renting that space?
Well, it'll be, the owner of the whole rental facility will have their manager there or superintendent.
So hair cottage is part of the project?
Part of the project,
Yes,
correct, sir.
yes. And answer to the question, section 5, I guess it is, rooftop structures and appurtenances shall not exceed a height of 10 feet above the roof.
Would that include rooftop unit screening?
It says rooftop structures and appurtenances other than elevator shafts, bulkheads, and shall not be, and shall be reasonably screened. It's in there already.
Thank you. And I'm assuming there are RTUs on top of
Yeah, there'll be units, but the parapet comes up like 4 feet plus, and we can locate them certainly in the center, you know, right down the center corridor wall. It'll be so far in from the corners, and the building is certainly taller than anything else, so nobody will ever see it.
I have a question regarding your drawing on the West Prospect Street elevation. You stated that the garage is going to have an interior height of 14.5 feet.
Correct.
But your drawing states that the garage door is going to be 13 feet 5 inches.
Yeah, that's a typo, you know, or my guy, because I scaled it tonight when I came there, and it's 14 feet when I scaled it, so I don't know why they put 13.4, but it will be 14 feet, sir, obviously, you know.
And then the riser for the fire protection is going to be located where?
You know, that we didn't design yet, but...
And that's going to supply all 42 units?
No, it's the 21 units. 21.
And is there going to be fire protection in the townhouses?
Well, you know, the systems for the townhouses can be done in a 13D, and it comes in off of the domestic water line, you know, so that doesn't require as an extensive system as the apartment building and the commercial thing, so, you know, so...
So is there going to be a fire pump?
I don't know, sir. That has to be designed. If one's required by code, then obviously we put one in.
Stipulate they'll all be constructed as per code requirements.
Yeah, we have to get the mechanical engineers in here, do flow tests, see what kind of pressures, and then create the rooms for it.
And the roof structure, is that going to be truss?
More than likely, it'll be trusses, but I don't know. We don't know yet, sir. It's not designed yet.
Because I think if I remember correctly, when we put the one across the street, there was a request from the fire department to change the roof design from a safety standpoint
To not trusses?
to non-trusses.
I have questions when I can, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll let the fire chief ask that question.
Are the townhouses rentals or are they going to be owned?
All rentals at this point.
Everything's a rental then?
All rentals and a 15% factor for affordable housing code.
I have a question. Are all the lots, including the houses, two-family houses, are these the ones that are occupied right now? And the owners, are they all in on this project?
Well, you have an application there with all their owners' consents.
Okay.
Yes.
The
Attached to the
townhouses, do they have any piece of outside land? Piece of cement
Not-
patio, any sort? No?
Other than just what's on the site, Madam Chairwoman, with their, front lawn and, I don't think their site plan, but
But nothing in the back?
it's just that walkway area that Tibor made reference to, Madam Chairwoman.
And they are part of that community room and common space?
Oh, for the apartment people, they'd have their exercise room and an amenity space for the apartment people.
Not townhouses, can't use that?
Yeah, we didn't discuss that in any of the meetings.
Probably not.
Probably not, just for the tenants themselves. Or else too many key fobs floating around.
And
The amenity room and the fitness room have become, for lack of a better term, vogue for these type of transit facilities, as well as bike racks.
I didn't hear before, but the townhomes are for sale and the apartments are rental?
All rentals,
All rental, even the townhomes?
yes. But ownership, type of ownership, as Mr. Singer will confirm, is not within the prerogative of the planning board, except we've talked that it's all rentals because that's in the equation for affordable housing. 42 units bring you in for 6 affordables.
Will there be an area for people to be outside of the building on top?
No, sir, we didn't design a rooftop amenity space. Some of our other projects do, but this one does not.
I know the answer to this, and I know your answer it well, but can you speak more on the protection of the chutes, whether it be the trash or recycling chutes?
It'll be in 2-hour rated enclosures for the fire separation, so it'd be all, fire rated assemblies built in that one room to go into, and obviously getting down into the room itself. And plus, a room will have its own separate ventilation system and so forth and so on, for smells and whatnot.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the board?
I have one other question. With regards to, it's the drawing, I think that you showed the elevations of the townhomes. So all points will have egress into the parking lot, even the end units? From the first floor for the end units and from the second floor for the middle units, correct?
No, sir. There's only 4 units. Well, I'm sorry.
There are 6 units.
10 through 16, that's 7 across here.
Correct.
Obviously, these are the real fronts coming in from the parking lot into 1 through 5.
Mhm.
And then we have, the real fronts on 19 through 21.
But
So
based on-
it's really these 7 here that Tibor changed the grade a bit, and these are kind of, you'll see on the rendering, the grade starts falling off and you see more and more of the ground floor, the first floor, and then you see less and less of it as you're going up towards Frederick Street.
Yes, but on the other drawing that you showed, the end units, there's a den on the first floor where the garage is that also has egress into the parking area? If I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, that shouldn't have been drawn, because that would be below grade. This would be just perhaps a small window, up high, almost like a transom window or an awning type window, depending on the grade conditions. It's not, there's different conditions based on the grading, so it's each individual building will have to be drawn based on where Tibor puts his grades.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the board?
Is there any plan to subdivide the retail space?
Subdivide?
Or split the retail space?
It could be. It's 3,500 square feet, so.
It could be more than one user.
planning board members? Good? Joe? You're good? Audience, members of the public, come on up. Questions at this point? And we have maybe just 5 minutes left. So.
Frank Walsh, 112 Lindbergh Parkway, Walden.
You swear testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your names, what you do.
Mrs. Upland.
Yes, sir.
The multi-story structure, that's supposed to be NFPA 13 for fire protection?
Yeah, for fire protection, that'll be regular NFP 13, right, and then the D for townhomes.
So 13D for the townhomes. So is any consideration given to 13 for the townhomes instead of 13D?
Well, that's obviously a more robust system with a separate line.
Yeah.
So all I could say is that we'll comply with code at this point.
But that's 13D is a minimum, and 13 would be a far more superior system.
I understand.
So the owner is saying that he's not...
Well, within the jurisdiction of the planning board for site plan approval,
Yeah.
construction requirements are not something the board can consider, other than they have to, as
You have to
developer has to be
comply.
code compliant.
I was just wanted to know what the developer's thinking was in terms of coming up with 13D versus 13.
Well, we don't have any thinking yet. We know we have to be code compliant.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Chief, you're still under oath.
Thank you, sir. Speaking from fire safety, the fire department is asking, I should say / requesting, that instead of a 13D system, that is a full 13 system in there.
For the townhomes.
For the townhomes, correct.
Okay. We could just take it under
Take
advisement.
it under advisement.
We've asked for other places in town to do that, and they fully complied with us. The other thing is, what Councilman Raimondo was saying before, was the roof. Can that be made into dimensional lumber instead of truss?
Yeah, I'm sure we could look at that. That's, instead of trusses or, because I get it, obviously, several years back, the code got changed because, everything is all engineered lumber now, which is just basically a 2x4 on the top and bottom and a particle board and a piece of garbage in between. And then too many firefighters, in unfinished basements that had fires were, falling through, which was
Or the
horrible. So now the new
Hackensack
requirement is
fire.
everything has sheetrock on it to protect it. If it's unfinished, you still got to sheetrock the ceiling. That way at least it protects the firefighters. So yeah, dimensional lumber just chars and has a longer lifespan. Yeah, we could certainly look at that.
I'm looking for the roof itself.
Yeah, or if we just sheetrock the other side of the joist, like as if it was a basement condition, just to give you that added protection. And then all the other ductwork is below that.
I'd prefer it to be dimensional lumber instead of truss.
Yeah.
Regarding the parapet and the roof line, the roof area is going to be used for what again?
No, nothing. It's just condensing units, just mechanical equipment.
Okay, so it's not going to be used
No
for
living
rooftop
space.
access, nothing like that?
No, sir.
Okay. Previous properties in town that went up, we've asked, well, the fire department will not be able to have access to the roof. You can put a tower ladder up and it'll be a 4-foot drop to it. Is there any chance that we can have an access point in there where we could have, they put a 6-foot wide piece in there so we can put our bucket in there so we can get onto the roof safely?
6
Or
foot wide.
remove the parapet completely.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, sure, we could certainly work with the department and just, come up with something that's on
Removing the
the
parapet
hair
completely,
side, on that, and then create a section of missing parapet. That's where you get your bucket, because, not that I don't care about the hair salon, but, it's not the greatest looking building. So
I don't find it funny.
So we'll figure something out.
I don't
Won't
find it
even
funny.
notice it.
Yeah, you wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that way then the fire department knows where they gotta go.
Right, but how about removing the parapet completely? If you're not going to have rooftop access and you're going to be putting everything back.
No, it's part of the aesthetic, just to get that.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But are we talking safety over aesthetics or aesthetics over safety?
Well, yeah, it's a multi-million-dollar building, you want it to look kind of nice, so.
The code permits the heights that we
Parapet
have.
looks good.
So we're going to go
Code
with aesthetics.
contemplates parapets.
So we're going to go aesthetics over safety?
I am not going to debate the code. The code
Okay.
is the code.
Right.
That's what we're following.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so my question again, we're going to go with aesthetics over safety.
My answer is the same. We're going to follow the code.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Very good.
I just don't find it funny that we're finding
one's
safety
laughing.
a
No,
joke.
I just thought you needed a 6-foot section taken out. I didn't
No, I
you
know
did the
that, but
whole
you're
thing.
standing here laughing at me as
No,
I'm
no,
asking
I
this.
thought it was just the side that you just needed to go on.
So how am I gonna take my ladder and bend it around the side of the building? I'm not gonna be able to do that. So, all right, so we'll put safety behind the stairs.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? Seeing none, it's perfect timing, that little pause here. And continue.
Our logistics were good, so I'd ask that this be carried to the May meeting without any further notice. And we'll be prepared to address some of the issues that came up this evening. And we will be able to present to you our landscape architect and our traffic engineer.
And of course, we would grant any necessary extensions.
I couldn't hear.
Grant any necessary extensions.
We're not even within.
May 7th. May
Yes,
7th.
May
They
7th,
gave it
thank
up.
you, that's exactly what I was thinking. Thank you,
Thank you.
folks.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we got 2 minutes left, folks, here on the board. Thank you. We have all the business. Give them a moment to clear out. Or we should Stan, we have 2 minutes amongst ourselves. Hello.
You want these back?
I might.
I don't want to. I've got some, no, I don't.
All right. Thank you. Because in case I think of something. I want it here to be in full. Thank you, Paul. So board, I think next is old business. Any old business? Mayor's home, his pajamas. So we don't have any old business. New business, you should have received an email from Kelly, not Kelly, Melissa, for your financial disclosure. So please take a moment to do that. It was so easy. Corey, you've done it before. Okay, so everybody's done it before. Keep doing that. And May 7th is when we're coming back. So we're ready to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Stan, second by Mark. Thank you so much. Why would you leave them here? They're yours. Take them with you.